Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Kalika and you're gonna be a mildly spicier person after watching this video. The Stashew's accusation. TLDR at the bottom. This petty revenge was a year in the making. My family was visiting my in-laws out of town for 2 weeks at Christmas 2018. We were staying in my wife's parents' house, along with my brother-in-law, who was also visiting from out of town, also for almost the exact same time period. Brother-in-law is severely lacking social skills and is a bit of a greedy pig when it comes to communal food. My father-in-law had a big Costco container of cashews out in the kitchen that he snacked on regularly, and I noticed brother-in-law being pretty greedy with them for the first week. Near the end of our visit, I was grabbing a small handful of cashews when father-in-law walked in and saw me. I didn't realize it fully at the time, but father-in-law thought he had caught his cashew thief and started making passive-aggressive comments for our last few days about how much I must love cashews. I shrugged it off as weird and just ignored it. Our family visited again in the summer, but brother-in-law wasn't there. He only visits once a year at Christmas. I noticed the cashews weren't out anymore, and started noticing father-in-law going into his office regularly for a few seconds and coming out chewing a mouthful of something. After a few days, I walked by his office while he was in there and saw him pulling out a secret stash of cashews. Stashews, if you will. He quietly put them back in his desk drawer, then looked up all startled when he saw me walk by. I shrugged it off, but chuckled at how much he cared about his stashews. He started offering me cashews and put them out again in the kitchen, but I just didn't really care. Cashews are okay, but I'm not obsessed. We visited again this month for Christmas 2019, but we were there a week before brother-in-law this time. Father-in-law kept offering me cashews since I love them so much, but I kept shrugging and declining. The cashew level barely moved that first week. A week later, when brother-in-law showed up, he started pigging out on cashews, and I would secretly grab handfuls of cashews out of the bin to accelerate the process. After 2 days, the bin was almost empty, and father-in-law was visibly furious. Although he never caught anyone in the act, he quickly started flat out accusing brother-in-law of being rude and pigging out on not just cashews, but everything in general. It was great. The problem is that after a few days of pigging out, I'm now addicted to cashews. I think this just goes to show that no matter what age you are, it's always satisfying when a sibling gets in trouble with their parents. Prank pizza. So one time, I ordered a fish pizza with extra cheese, and since it wasn't that far away, I decided to pick it up myself. I checked the menu and saw that extra cheese cost me about 50 cents extra, so I bought enough with me. After I went to pick it up, I handed them the money, but the price was different. I checked their menus there to see if the one I'd have at home was out of order, but it also said 50 cents for extra cheese. I pointed that out, but the person in charge said it's €1, even though it frickin' says 50 cents. They wouldn't give me the pizza until I went home and brought another 50 cents to give them the correct price. And to top it all off, the person said, "We'll remember your face," meaning they expect me to come back. Honestly, I wish I'd stayed home and bought my own food, but I really wanted that fish pizza. It turned up to be cold though. Fast forward a few months until today. I never ordered from him again obviously, but I still held a grudge, so I wanted to prank call the pizzeria. Since this is a family-run business, I know I wasn't going to get anyone fired or in trouble with this prank. However, I didn't want to waste so many ingredients. So I chose a mozzarella and ordered it about half an hour before closing just to piss the guy off and said, I'll pick it up myself, and for his signature touch, I ordered extra cheese. I can just imagine this guy wanting to go home and has to wait for me while I'll never come. Is this a petty revenge? Sure, kind of. But in reality, the guy probably waited until 5 or 10 minutes before closing and then cancelled the order manually, locked up and still went home on time. Probably even took the pizza home with him. Dude asked me to watch his bags at the airport for a sec, which cut into my boarding time. Now he can enjoy retrieving them from the ORD police. For some ironic airport profiling context, he's a young, college-aged white guy in shorts. I'm a brown woman in winter gear silly with pom-poms. He's sitting in my gate, but we're not on the same flight. Mine boards in like 20. A few minutes after I sit down, in a seat he'd made almost unreachable with his big exposed unwinterized legs, he asked if I watch his bags for a sec. I know this isn't good practice, but I usually say yes anyway, since 99.99999% of people really do need to use the bathroom, and there's no harm in doing a solid while they do a solid. Wow, that's poetic. I said sure, but pointed out that my flight boarded soon. He said yeah, he'd be back in a sec. He left and I went back to scrolling my phone. I didn't time it exactly, but eventually my flight started boarding, and it was a tiny one, so it boarded fast. Now I am in a pickle, but I'm also mad because where the frick is this guy? At this point it's been at least 15-20 minutes or more. More than enough time to do number 1 or number 2, grab food, do whatever. It's the F gates at O'Hare, so everything is really close together. Even when I do this, I make sure to head back as soon as possible just out of courtesy, not to mention that airports expressly don't want people doing this. Yet if I walk off and leave the bags unattended, they'll get confiscated, and he'll have to do a song and dance to get them back, probably missing his flight. Frick him for putting me in this position, and honestly, frick him for not facing the same consequences I probably would if I wandered off and abandoned my luggage. I made the call. I told the gate agent I'd been watching the bags and the owner hadn't returned. She said fine, the police would pick them up. I boarded my flight and we're about to take off. He's probably cursing me at the gate right now. If he had diarrhea or an extremely premature heart attack or some real reason to delay, I ask his forgiveness in heaven. But who knows, maybe I stop the next neckbeard airport bomber. In any case, I let my petty flag fly today. A while ago I was watching some show on TV about an airport in Germany. I've been really into shows like Nothing to Declare and Airport Customs and things like that recently. So this airport in Germany, they have police on site doing rounds in the airport, and they get a report that a bag has been left unattended for nearly 30 minutes, I think. And the chaos ensued was great. They found the bag, cordoned off a large area of the airport, waited for like 10 minutes or so, and then called a disposal guy and a dog who kind of gave the bag the all clear that there was no explosives in it or anything like that. The guy then came forward and claimed his bag, and the police officer was like this tall, thin guy who gave the man a stern lecture about not leaving your bags unattended, and the look he was giving him was one of just pure rage. Even I was intimidated, but it was great. If I can find a clip of it, I'll put it in here, but it was a few weeks ago, I think. I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. Petty revenge on a flatmate who was pinching my food. So quite a few years ago I was in the halls at uni in my first year. Also in the same corridor was a guy on a very low hours contact course. How low? He had 1 hour a week first semester and 2 hours a week second semester. I was on what's considered one of the more contact hour intensive courses. Contact equals in university, in lectures, or group assignment workshops and stuff. I got up one day and went to have cereal. I find I'm out of milk. That's odd. I thought I had enough. I put it down to me screwing up planning. It happens again the next week, and I'd marked the carton secretly to show the levels I'd left it, and there should have been more than enough for 2 days of cereal in the carton. So I suspect someone is using my milk. I happen to be okay with almond milk, having got used to the taste, so I buy that instead. I wake up and hear someone yelling yuck from the kitchen. My room was right next to it. I open the door to the hall to catch my flatmate sheepishly going back to his room with a very black looking cup of tea and a bowl of his cereal that looks very dry, save for a small bit of milk on it. I keep buying almond milk for a month, then finally switch back, and there's no more issues with the milk. This isn't the end though. I start to notice my spread going down and burned toast crumbs and stuff turning up in the spread. I always try to get the crumbs out when I do it. Multiple times the last of the tub gets used up, and I come to use it only to find an empty tub there, so I have to go shopping again to replace it specially, rather than being able to grab a new tub on the way back from lectures as I normally do with shopping. I suspect my flatmate again, as he has form. I'm not happy, as he has 1 hour of lectures a week and can plan the rest of his time as he wishes, but apparently isn't planning his shopping well or is just using some of my stuff to save him having to buy any. So I get some Tabasco sauce. I've been using it on my sandwiches to give the fairly watery supermarket sandwich meat some flavour, but I decide to put a layer of the sauce on top of the spread in the tub. If I'm being paranoid, it won't matter, as I'm having Tabasco sauce on my sandwiches anyway, so it won't bother me. If someone is using it as I suspect, then I'll be able to see the layer gone and they'll get a spicy surprise. Next day, I wake up to go and make sandwiches and notice the layer of Tabasco is gone. I make my sandwiches and go to lectures like normal. I come back and hear awful noises from my flatmate's room, groans of pain and the toilet flushing. Every time I leave my room that day until late into the night, I hear groaning and toilet flushing from his room. Turns out, the Tabasco sauce didn't agree with him, and I found out he spent most of the past 24 hours in the toilet with a case of the runs brought on by the Tabasco sauce. He learned his lesson though. From that day onward, he didn't try to help himself to any of the food on my shelf again, and I think 24 hours of his bowels rebelling against him was a fairly suitable revenge for all the time I'd had to waste going back to the shops just to replace food of mine he'd used up and then left the empty container in the fridge, for me to end up discovering normally just when I wanted to use said stuff. Okay, so that's all for r/PettyRevenge. I really hope you did enjoy it. As always, if you do want to see more content like this, then please do subscribe. My Twitter, Discord and Patreon links are in the description. And I'm also doing one video a month on a subreddit of your choice for my patrons, and I'll be including bloopers, breakdowns, and Markus interventions like this. Cashews are okay, but I'm not obsessed. Oh, Markus. Any support is greatly appreciated. And as it's Sunday, I also want to say a massive thank you to my wonderful patrons. BackwardsDDog, Tyler Miller, Jen Burton, Jen Spanning, Bo Walker, Princess Kate, Skyler A, Elizabeth Filmore, Stephen Arnowitt, Shagar, Koltin, James Scanlan, and Darkimedes. Thank you all so much for your support. Mwah. That's for you, but keep it between us, okay? Thank you so much for watching. Bye!